So my video was acting crazy. I literally had to go get my other phone. But that's what happens when you're trying to do something that God tell you to do, but the devil don't want you to do. So, familiar with that, I respond to it with finding another way. So anyway, I was at the point where I was talking about what the situation with my sisters and them leaving what their father did to me. It basically created in me a feeling of abandonment. So I didn't like that feeling of people leaving. And it created a certain insecurity in me. Like, I don't even think I was thinking about why didn't my dad come get me. Because my dad was in my life, as far as I know, as far as people tell me, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, chunks of my childhood are missing for whatever reason. And so I wasn't feeling like I was being slighted or I was not good enough. I was just feeling like why did they have to go? I didn't understand it. And so they were gone for a couple of months. And when they came back with their father. And mind you, I'm probably about, I want to say 7 or 8. And I didn't know this man. I can't remember ever meeting him prior to then or knowing about him, just because of how I reacted when they were talking to him. And the fact that they hadn't seen him in quite some time. So, like I said, it created a, discomfort for me with abandonment, because it felt like abandonment. It felt like my sister stuff. It felt like I was there. Well, I was there all alone because my mother only had 3 girls. So it felt like they left. And so it created something in me where I didn't like people to leave. Which is a very, very toxic trait, especially when they need to go. But I digress. We're going to start the story where we at. So anyway, when they came back with their father, because he decided that he wanted his family. So, then my next memory is, it's quite some time in between, but my next memory is like interacting with, there was one cousin that I had very dear to me. And, we spent a lot of time with her grandmother. My mother worked a lot, very successful. You know what I'm saying? For her dispensation, very successful. She was a bank supervisor. She managed girls that came in learning how to, be in the banking industry or whatever. So she knew a lot of people because she managed a lot of young women through her career. So she worked a lot. And which made me had to figure it out because my sisters were older. My oldest sister, she took time. She would take me to the movies. She would do little things with me, but she was young herself, and she would, she had her own life. My middle sister, we did not get along at all. I didn't know what I had done to her. Like, I don't know if this is that Marsha thing, like the middle child syndrome. I don't know. But I never, to my recollection, did anything to her. I don't even remember being around her. Like I say, that one memory that I have of them leaving, and then off to where I rarely saw my sisters as much. Well, I definitely didn't see her much, but my older sister I saw a lot more. But I was always at my aunt's house in, Bowling Park, which is a project. because my mom worked a lot. And I remember wanting to go home like really bad because I was with my cousin Tisi, and that was her grandmother. That was my auntie, but that was her grandmother. And I didn't want to be there because I felt like I just didn't like it. Like my mom, and then now my stepdad and my sisters and like a few cousins live with us on a rotation. So it was always a house full, but I'm over here in the projects, which my mother, as far as I can remember with me, we didn't reside in the project, but I'm over here in the projects with my little cousin Shantice. God rest her soul. I loved her. Because she didn't want to be alone and my mother didn't have anywhere for me to go while she worked. So I'm over here with her like maybe 85% of the time because she would want to, when we would go to my house to visit, she would always want to go back to her grandmother's house because she would see her mom, which I understood, but it wasn't what I wanted. So now this planted a seed inside me that I was always having to do what other people wanted to do at the risk of my happiness. Just having to give into it, even as a child. Like, we would think that it wouldn't have made me any difference because I didn't know any better, but I can remember feeling like I don't want to be here. I want to go home with my mom. I don't care, you know what I'm saying, about what she has going on as far as work. I don't care about the fact that, I love my little cousin, but I didn't care about the fact that she wanted to be with her grandmother because I wanted to be home with my mother. That is what was a constant memory that I can remember. I wanted to go home. I did not want to be in the projects. I wanted to go home to my house. But because I loved my cousin so much, I would always give in to what she wanted to do and where she wanted to go, which was not healthy. Because love says, I want what's best for both of us. Love says that I want you to be comfortable as well as I'm comfortable. So that situation, although I'm so glad I got to spend so much time with her because my cousin, because she was just, my best friend, back then, like pretty much my everything, because I felt abandoned by my mom, which I felt like she put her job before me. I felt like my stepdad that came in, I didn't know this man. I didn't know anything about him. He just became a staple in our family. And I don't know where he came from. I just know he was my sister's father. And I'm so confused as a child. And I'm so angry because no one's thinking about me. And I'm having to just suck it up. So I can remember the day. And I think I had willed this thing to happen. And this is going to be almost the end of the first TED Talk. I think I had willed this thing to happen. I wanted to go home so bad. I didn't care what happened to me. I was just like, I want to do something so my mom sees me, so that she knows that I need to be home with her. I remember thinking that pretty often. And I couldn't, I wasn't in the mindset that I was going to do it to myself, because that's not really where my head was at. But I just wanted something to happen so that she would say, I can go home. And I no longer have to come and stay in the projects, because I hated the center lunches. I hated going. My aunt would be like, if you don't go, you ain't going to eat. And I used to be like, well, I don't want to eat because I don't want to go. But then I had to go because my little cousin, she wanted to go. And I was always her. You know what I'm saying? I was like her right arm. And so, but I was tired of being a child, but being the one to have all these feelings of I'm a protector, yet I'm abandoned. I'm feeling less than because I'm in a place where I knew I didn't belong, but also feeling like I have this obligation to make sure everybody else is happy and put my feelings and my desires on the back burner because there was so much going on that I couldn't control. And so I just chose to just allow what was going on. Very dangerous behavior. Very dangerous because it was cultivated in me. Now, the only reason why I literally got out of that cycle is because I ended up, going outside in the projects. It's just, it's ain't no grass, it's dirt, you know what I'm saying, cement, whatever. So one day my, cousin decided when my aunt told us to go in the house to take a bath, I went in the house. I was ready to get out of there anyway. She decided she was going to stay outside. So my aunt was like, go get her. So I went out there. I had already took my shoes and things off. I went out there to go get my cousin and cut my foot on a piece of glass, bleeding profusely. I went to told my I'm dripping, leaking, blood everywhere. I went and told my aunt, like, I cut my foot trying to go get her. And so she put my foot in the tub and was running water to try to stop it. And the tub just kept filling up with water in my blood. So it was not stopping. So she ended up having to call my mother, and they ended up having to call the ambulance. And, my mother was trying to allow my aunt to be able to give them permission to treat me, and they said no, she had to come. So finally she had to come. And I used to think, like, why did it take all of this? Why did it take all of this for you to have to come and rescue me? Why didn't you listen when I said I didn't want to go anymore? Why didn't you listen when I told you I was unhappy? Why didn't she listen when I told her I just wanted her? You know what I'm saying? I loved my cousin. I love my auntie. I love my family, like, profusely, but I wanted my mom above all else. I don't even remember even thinking as much like I need my dad, but I wanted my mom. And it was shameful that such a thing had to happen to me for me to be able to get what I wanted. And so I still didn't get what I wanted because it didn't get it how I wanted, because I had to be in a life-threatening, situation in order to get that. And because I almost bled to death, and they was like, my aunt couldn't give, authorization to stitch me up or, all the things that needed to be done. So my mother had no choice but to come, because she was trying to get them to let my aunt authorize it, but they were like, no, you have to come. So in ending this section of the TED Talk, I'm going to say this. Parents, it's not about us just wanting to control things or being a brat or us just, like, we get a certain picture in our head as children and we just want to, we want everything to revolve around us. It's not about that. There is something inside of us that longs for the connection, longs for the touch of our parents, you know what I'm saying, when we have good parents, longs for just to be near you, just to watch you so I can mimic you, so I can, it's different things that little girls get from their mom, or little boys get from their dad. Granted, I can say that I was a daddy's girl too, but it wasn't nothing like the sun rose and set on my mom, so I feel like it just really, you know what I'm saying, it kind of damaged me in a way, because it made me feel like I always had to do a tap dance, a song and dance, to do the most to get the attention of the people that I really love. Now, those people that I really didn't care much for, it was like, so what? Which I equate that to my dad, because I was like, I love my dad, but it was like, if I saw him, what's up? Cool, we cool. I would see him, you know what I'm saying, every weekend. After a while, I would go to his house every weekend. So it was like, it was cool, but it was nothing like the yearning that I had for my mom when I was in that project and away from her for so much time. It was nothing like that. So I think it imparted something in me where I had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to be this person, to be supportive. I had to carry everybody. Like I had, basically was there for my cousin because, we were both feeling like this abandonment. And I had to carry her. And I was a child myself. And I had to make sure I was strong, and I would, when my mom would be like, well, I'm going to come and get you this. And then I had to stand there and watch her walk away, knowing that I wanted to just run behind her and grab her and just let her drag me down the project court. Like, I don't want to stay here. But I had to be strong and say, okay, Mom, I'll see you when you have time for me. And that was dangerous. That's dangerous as a person, as a parent, to do that to your child, because then it creates bad habits in them, that they have to beg for love, for somebody's love, beg for their attention from the person that should have been the one to just overload it on them. So if I had to do the most to get in her inner space, to get, you know what I'm saying, to basically find favor with her so that she could find enough time or realize that I really need, if I had to do that much for the woman who carried me, how much would I have to do in friendships, in relationships, in business? We miss it when we think that it does not matter. It does. So this is the reason why I'm doing these TED Talks. And I pray that it helps somebody. I pray that it helps that mother that is taking extra jobs, taking this, taking that, and sending their children somewhere else, or even leaving them home or ignoring them because they feel like I got to pay these bills or this, that, and the other. But you have these children that need to feel your love. They need to feel your touch. They need to experience you. They don't need to visit you. They need to experience you. So I hope that this helps someone, because I'm really realizing these things about myself. I've been to therapy. I've sat with myself. I've reasoned with what is the thing inside of me that I need to cultivate or change. and I'm so glad with what God is showing me and dealing with me with, even though I can't verbalize it to my parent. I hope that some of you can. You can sit down with your kids. You can find an actionable plan that works for you both, because you need each other. And there's no amount of money. There's no amount of ambition. There's no amount of character that needs to be sacrificed, or, because we're building and bringing up children who are longing for something they never got from the initial point of contact, which is your parents. And if you don't give it to them, they're gonna look for it somewhere else. And then we wonder why she's so fast, but that wasn't me. I wasn't that person, but I had the internal bleed. And so, but some people express it outwardly, where they are fast or they are angry, and they find gangs and they find this and they find that. And we're so angry at them, wondering like, why you act like this? But they always just wanted you. They started out just wanting you. And so we have to take a step back and understand that, not so much blame yourself, but figure it out. Figure it out. Because we are losing a generation. We are losing them in droves. And if we don't figure it out, don't be out here crying when they drawing the marker for your kid's body, or when you're watching her strung out on drugs or prostituting herself or being hit upside the head by a man that she's chasing because he shows her some attention because you never did, because you didn't have time, because you were building something that you thought was gonna eventually help them. We're losing our children. We're losing a generation because we don't get it. And I don't even care about the quality of this video, but I just hope that you hear me. This is my TED Talk. And this is where it starts. And just imagine where it's going. I don't know, because I'm just being obedient. But this is where I wanted to start. Y'all have a great evening. Think on these things. Stop blaming these children for being who they are. There was something that tipped them over the edge. Have a good night. I'll see you later.